Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. Oh, we lost Josh for a second.
Hey, there's everyone. How are you, Wayne?
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing good.
Cutting me out of the show.
Crazy, but yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so tonight's guest, we have Mr. Wayne Poe.
That's right.
Welcome to the show, Wayne.
Thank you.
So Wayne's yeah, no worries. So, Wayne, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I am a paranormal documentarian and a skeptical, open-minded skeptic of the paranormal. That's about it.
Cool.
Well, that's a big responsibility because that means you ask all the tough questions.
Yeah, I try to debunk everything all over the place before I say, "Hey, that could be something," you know.
Right. As I've heard the term used, process of elimination, many of times, and trying to figure out everything we know scientifically, or objectively in our world before we can clearly say something is paranormal or out of this world.
Right.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, we're just kind of, I was talking to a couple of people about this over the last, week or so. But let me turn up my mic a little bit. Am I too hot or is that good?
That's good.
Seems good.
Okay. All right. So, you know what it is? It's my fan. So I'm just hearing the background noise from the fan. So, over the last... I was just talking about this to somebody, but it seems like, several years ago, things in the paranormal have changed. I know years ago, when people were like in the field about, 10 plus years ago, everybody was looking for answers.
Right.
So everybody was in this field to try to find answers, and I don't know where the things changed, but over like the last, I don't know, I wanted to say over the last 2 to 3 years, it seems like everything now is paranormal. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. Everything, everybody's saying everything's paranormal. Every location's haunted. It's just crazy.
Yeah, not every abandoned building has to be haunted. Everyone you walk into.
Right. No, exactly. So Wayne was pretty big investigating like Linda Vista. There's a lot of stories behind Linda Vista. Can you share some of those stories at this point? And I'm not talking about the chapel. I'm just talking about some of the I guess some of the things that occurred there at Linda Vista, since I know that was one of the locations that you frequented.
Yeah, my first documentary, 3 a.m. Paranormal. Actually, the Paranormal Housewives took me there, and 3 a.m. was also there, and they were telling me all kinds of stories, like they saw shadow people and like right next to them, like trying to grab for them, and all these like wild stories. And to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of EVPs, and I never saw anything at Linda Vista, and I was there a lot. I was there so much. One of the investigators that were also there frequently would say my name kept coming up on ITC, my first name or last name, even when I wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And that does happen a lot when you do frequent locations. It's crazy. And so tell us a little bit about one of the documentaries that you shot at the old mental hospital.
Oh, that one was Hotel Camarillo, it's called. That's the documentary. It was shot at Camarillo State Hospital, the former Camarillo State Hospital. And I was even there in the first documentary because it was so frequented by paranormal investigators. Just about everybody in Southern California has been to Camarillo. So I decided, well, I might as well just make a whole documentary on Camarillo, because everybody has so many stories.
Right.
And it was, well, it's one of the most haunted places I've ever been to. I never saw anything paranormal, but you can go into Camarillo, and even on a bad day, you can get at least 10 EVPs easy.
Mm-hmm.
I was there maybe 3 years ago, and now it's quiet. I went to a few buildings that used to be very, very active. Now I didn't get one EVP the day I was there. So yeah. I'm not sure what happened between 2012 and 2018. I'm not sure what happened.
You know, I was just there. I want to say 2 months ago, because they're getting ready to demolish some more buildings. So I went there with a friend of ours, and her and I really didn't get anything. I mean, like the children's ward, the last time I was there, I don't know, it was a few months ago. Wait, no, it was before the pandemic. No, actually, it was right when the pandemic started. So we went there because they evacuated all the students. So they sent all the students home from campus. So it was around May, around the May timeframe, maybe. And that's when we went to the children's ward. And when we were walking through there, I saw what looked like a little boy. And I was getting that impression. It's a little boy standing there. So I was just standing there, just staring. And the other guys that I was with were like, dude, why are you just standing there? I was like, we're being watched. And then they were like, oh, they were kind of freaking out, like, oh, what is security or the cops watching us? I said, no, there's a little boy standing over there. And then they were like, where? And I was pointing, where he was standing. And then I was like, here, let me walk over there. And so I walked past, right where he was. And I was like, oh man, just like the hair on my arms were standing up. And then, so we were like, trying to communicate with him, whatever, but, we didn't get anything. So we left, we continued on. And then when we came back, in that same exact spot, there was a Fisher Price telephone, the one that you just had like a little cord.
Yeah.
And along you, it had little wheels on it. I have it somewhere. That's what I was looking for. Oh, you know what? I think it's. Oh, it's right here. So yeah, I ended up bringing it home with me.
A lot of it. Go ahead.
So yeah, we went back and we went back a week later, and I did a ghost box session, and the little boy was communicating with us, and then we heard also a female. It sounded like maybe it might have been a nurse, and the little boy said, it's the nurse. And there was a female voice. We heard a disembodied voice, a female's voice, and that's when the little boy said, it's a nurse. And that was crazy because we were like, well, maybe it's one of the nurses. And then we got that on ghost box session. It was kind of crazy, but anyway.
Yeah, I've never had luck with any ITC or ghost box in the Camarillo. Everybody else has 3 a.m. They had really very good ghost box sessions. I tried myself, and I never got anything really good. It's all EVP. Now I remember one we got above the children's ward. It was like 2 a.m, and it was some kid. While we were talking, some kid says, "Mommy, I'm cold," like that, and it was loud, but we didn't hear it. Right. I just got it back on my camera when I was listening back to it.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 a.m, and we didn't have any kids with us.
Yeah, that place is kind of creepy. I mean, especially like because there's like the criminal ward where there was like a lot of mentally insane criminals and violent criminals, and there's a courthouse in there.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're walking through there. It was Eric and I were walking through there one afternoon. This was in the middle of the day. him and I kind of went separate ways. We were together for a while, and then he was like, "I'm going this way." I said, "I'm going that way." So I'm filming. There's like a door that has it looks like claw marks. Somebody just made it look like
yeah,
3 marks.
I remember.
So I was looking at that and I was filming it, and I was like, "Wow, that's a trip." And then on my recorder it said, "Yeah, now get the F out," but it said the F word. And it was a really loud growl. I didn't hear it, but after I played it back, we played it back, and I was like, "Eric, check this out." And I played it for him, and he was like, "Dude, that kind of sounds like your voice." And I said, "It does, right?" And he said, "Are you sure you didn't say that?" And I was like, "Why would I say that?" And I said, "If I would have said that, it would have been caught on camera."
Right.
And I said, "Yeah." So anyway,
I've had that happen to me before. I was on the Star of India, and someone said they heard the sound of water running, and then right on my little my Sony digital recorder, it says water running, and it was my voice, and I wasn't sitting anywhere near it. And I said, "I know I didn't say that, but that's my voice."
Right.
You know?
no, it's just funny how they mimic your voices.
Yeah. The jury, the place where it has all the courthouse and all that. That's probably one of the last places that is really active, because during my documentary we were filming, maybe 2012, 2013, we had a loud disembodied voice and an EVP almost answering. The disembodied voice was answering the EVP, and it was during the day. As well, one EVP, we were winding it back to listen to the disembodied voice we heard. It was a loud voice, a woman saying yes, like that. It was so loud, it was rumbling down the hallway. I said, "What was that?" And it's on the documentary, and we're rewinding it to listen to it, and we heard an EVP before that happened. And the EVP said, "Hello there," like a man's voice, and it seemed like the woman was answering yes, like that. It was really weird.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's sad. I mean, and that's what we were just talking about. I was talking to some other people online about this. It's funny how there's so many locations now that were really, really active. Now it's just like there's no activity there. It's yeah. I just don't understand what's. I mean, to move on, but you would think that there would still be some type of residual energy, but yeah, it's just dead. I mean, an excuse a pun, but
when was the last time both of you were there? Can you very specifically? Was it?
I was there 2 months ago.
2 months ago. Okay.
Last time I was there was about 2018.
Okay, so pretty decent sample size in terms of someone being there recently, and then obviously both of you have been there quite a bit. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder why the activity would subside at it seems like such a steep curve, like a steep fall off, if you will.
Oh yeah, because we were going almost weekly around 2012, 2012, almost every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, and you can like I said, you can easily come out of there with 10 EVPs. Class A EVPs. Yeah. Now it's just like last time I was there, that was just nothing, in the areas that I went into.
I mean, it got so crazy that that building, like we were talking about with the courthouse, it was so active that there was no way somebody would ever walk alone. It was just, it had that feeling, and whatever was there. The energy that was there, it was so heavy and so negative energy that you're like, I'm not going down there by myself. Because you just got that overwhelming feeling, like, yeah, there's no way I'm going down that hall by myself.
Yeah, the one thing about me is I can't feel anything like everybody else does. Some people are like jumping out of their skin. Oh my God, there's so many things around us, and I can't feel anything. As a matter of fact, we were walking back from the courthouse one time, ready to go home, and I realized I didn't have my car keys. And I said, I don't have my car keys. I don't know where they are. So I must have dropped them in the courthouse. And he goes, there. Everybody else going, oh man. So I said, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get things. You're gonna go by yourself? And I said, yeah, it's okay. You know, I'll go back. So somebody went with me. They said, oh, you just can't go by yourself. So we went back, and as we were walking back, we walked over there. We walked to the courthouse. I couldn't find them, and then we were coming back, and they were sitting on my keys were sitting on the sidewalk, right in the middle of the sidewalk. We couldn't have possibly missed them. Right where we were coming back, I was wondering, how am I going to get home? I don't have my car keys, and they're sitting right on the sidewalk.
That's crazy.
How did they get there?
I don't know. We would have easily seen them walking back,
right,
to go back to the court. We would have easily seen them, and then we come back and they're just right there, like, here you go,
That is
Amanda. We're talking about Camarillo State Hospital. No, never mind. I was gonna look for some pictures, but if you look it up online, if you look up Camarillo State Hospital, you'll see a lot of the pictures. And Wayne, your documentary can be found on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, both documentaries. I have one called Night Stalkers, and the other one's Hotel Camarillo, and they're both on Amazon Prime.
All right, cool. So what else are you working on?
Right now, I've wanted to work on a smaller documentary, maybe about 30 minutes, about ITC specifically, because it was so prevalent in both of my other documentaries. I said, well, mine just focus on ITC, because there's so much. Even after the documentaries, I kept investigating, and we got a lot of great stuff on ITC, especially like, for instance, the Comedy Store. I talked about that before. And just other places like graveyards and things like that. They just answers that come. They come right after the other. I mean, you guys know, if you've done ITC, you can stay there for 2 hours, and you might have a window of 2.5 minutes where you're getting back and forth, and then there's pretty much nothing, after that. But it's awesome to live through that. So I wanted to make a documentary about that and people's experiences. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, you're a pretty big skeptic as well as I was. And I mean, we had this discussion, years ago about ITC, and, and at that time I was really a skeptic with ITC, and I would always tell you that too.
Yeah. When I started my first documentary, I was a complete skeptic to everything paranormal, because it got drained out of me basically because of my father. You got to be crazy to believing of vampires and ghosts. Don't be stupid, So I was a complete skeptic starting my first documentary, and this things kept happening in front of him over and over again. He said, well, you can't keep that you can't keep that skeptic face in front of stuff that's coming right at you. It's right there. You can't explain it any other way, And when I was first introduced to ITC, even when I was starting to believe, is, oh, come on, voices through a radio, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then but I just kept quiet and kept filming, and I kept seeing absolute responses. It wasn't responses by chance. It's people's names coming up, responses over and over again. So there's something going on here. I don't know what it is, but whatever this ITC thing is, it seems to be working. I don't know how it works. I can't explain it. But the thing that a lot of skeptics fall into, I used to have a lot of skeptical friends, and I don't anymore because they kind of draw away from me now. But what skeptics do is they try to over-explain what it could be, what it could possibly be. Well, it could be a door on the 3rd floor that closed and the sound came through the heater vents. And they forget Occam's razor, and they go way over Occam's razor to explain it not being paranormal. It's like, that's not you're being hypocritical. Why are you doing that? You're thinking of these wild explanations for how this could happen, instead of saying, well, maybe this is something. That's how we find out about things, if we observe first. and then we try to figure it out later, but not go crazy to unfigure it out, you know.
Right. And we're finding that science and metascience, the metaphysical, is more and more is beginning to offer evidence and or at least plausible theory as to what's going on. So it may become that Occam's razor leads us to say, well, it is scientific in nature, but we are able to now, you know, in the future explain what's going on or have a better understanding of it.
Right.
So yeah, to over-explain, you know, well, 90 miles away, there could be an underground eruption of a gas pipe, which could have, you know, echoed all the way underground through this fault line, crossing this fault line. No. Really, it's probably not that. That's creative, right. But it's not that. So I think meta-science in that way, and I say meta, combining the metaphysical and science, obviously, that I feel like those two topics and somehow will lead us to Occam's razor will also help us lead us in the right direction.
Right. I agree.
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, I mean, you know, I know that you went from being a skeptic to now, you know, you have several ghost boxes also.
Right.
And the last time you came over to my place to pick up your ghost box, actually, I built it here. I think when you were here, because
yes.
he brought over this purse. It's like a gothic purse, but it looks like a skull. It's so cool. And then the top of the head unzips, so it's like you're opening up the skull to get to inside the skull. So I built a ghost box inside of the skull, and then I put blue LEDs on the eyes. It looks really cool. It came out
I would be afraid to go to an airport with it because it looks like a bomb. It looks like this 1980s bomb for Lethal Weapon, you know, with all these wires and lights and stuff.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Mel Gibson's like running with it under his arm or something. Yeah, I could see it.
So no, it's kind of funny. Open it up and like Wayne said, it looks like a bomb inside. But it was a fun little project.
When you explain it's a broken radio, then they really look at you like, oh wow, this guy's really lost it.
Right.
None of this makes sense. It's
no, exactly. So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it is a gothic purse. It's actually really is a purse. I forgot what it's called, but it's a gothic purse. And I wanted an idea, something like a skull. I got a couple of plastic skulls, but you know, if I dropped them from a 3-foot height, they'd break all over the place. I said, well, what's more durable? And I saw people selling this gothic black skull purse. I said, oh, you can kick that around the room. It's not going to break. So that'd be perfect to make an ITC radio, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then the funny thing is so Wayne's here. We're basically outside, drinking beer and building a box and sitting around the fire, just having fun. And then all hell breaks loose. Wayne starts getting sick, feeling the effects of my house. I don't know. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not psychic at all. Like I said before, I don't really feel things, but sometimes things happen. You know, sometimes things happen to me, and I got very sick at Rob's house, and I had to excuse myself and use the bathroom several times, and I was just in cold sweats. I asked, when I was leaving, I asked Eric to help me carry stuff to my car because I couldn't even carry anything, you know, and I drove home. As soon as I got Rob lives right near a freeway. As soon as I got on the freeway, I felt fine. As soon as I got away from Rob's house, it was really strange. And I was thinking, I don't know how am I going to make it home? Oh my God! And I was okay on the freeway. You know, it was really strange.
Wow. And that night, it was right after you left. Actually, we're going back out into the backyard. We're going out the back door, and it was my son and Eric both saw the lady that we normally see here. She was walking out the door, and Eric's like, "Who's that lady walking out?" And my son's like, "I don't know." And then she was gone, and they were like, "Wait, did we just see that lady?" And they're like, "Yeah, she." And they kind of explained what she was wearing, and they were like, "Dude, we just saw the lady ghost." And I started laughing. Wow! I was like, "Yeah, welcome to my house."
Right. Yeah.
Now, Wayne grew up. You grew up in the South Bay, right?
No, I grew up in Huntington Park. So that's like southeast LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
You live in the South Bay now, though.
Not exactly. I live in Paramount. It's about 20 minutes away from the Queen Mary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so right where the 91 freeway is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're
So
about
somebody's asking where you grew up.
right.
Oh, that's where Huntington Park's where I grew up. I just did a video. I just did a non. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They said
What's
that you
that?
sound Canadian.
Oh. I'm sorry if I sound Canadian.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I just did a video on a building, a very old building from 1926 in Huntington Park called used to be called Mendiola's Ballroom. It was a non paranormal video, but it's just where it's actually where Guns N' Roses filmed the video to Sweet Child of Mine. And it was right there in Huntington Park. I didn't even know it for years until I found out recently. So I filmed a little video about it. But it's been closed since the early 90s. And I would love to go up there, but there's a 99-cent store under it that used to be a bank, and I went in there. I even asked somebody there, can you get upstairs? And go, no, nobody can get upstairs. I said, man, I'd love to get up there and see what it looks like now.
Yeah. And it's funny. There's a lot of buildings like that in that area, all around the 91, all around through downtown
Compton.
Compton. Stay away from Compton, though. Don't go into any abandoned buildings in Compton.
No.
Don't do that mistake that I did and walk in on somebody and pulling up their pants. I thought
that could have been Linda. Right. That could have been Linda Vista.
Oh yeah.
That could be anywhere, you guys, if you think about it.
Very true.
2021.
I remember the early days of going with the different paranormal investigators. They would announce when they walked in, "We're not cops. We're paranormal investigators." You know, that I thought that was a good idea to do whenever you walk into any building. You know.
Yeah. Linda Vista was bad like that. I mean, it was pretty bad. And Linda Vista, because of those that you don't know, it's in East LA, so it's a really bad area.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Katie says Camden, New Jersey, Chicago sucks. I won't repeat that, but yeah, some dangerous areas. Some dangerous areas. Yeah,
that's cool.
Definitely some dangerous areas.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't say that Linda Vista wasn't haunted because I didn't experience anything there. It's very strange that I didn't experience anything there just because of all the multitude of stories I heard, and all the investigators are really good investigators. So they were pretty serious. They weren't just saying, "Oh, I heard a noise down a hallway. It's got to be haunted." I heard some very compelling stories. Like for instance, one group told me that they started trying to hide where they were putting their recorders to see if they can get better voices, you know, so the spirits won't see the recorder, and maybe they'll be able to talk and amongst themselves. And they said, and one of them told me they got a recording and said, "This is where they hid the recorder," or something like that. I said, I got to have that for my documentary. And what really sucks is 9 times out of 10, these great sound bites. Oh, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Dude, seriously? Yeah. It's one of your greatest captures. You can't find it?
Right. Yeah. Those captures are usually copied in triplicate all over your computer and hard drive, one on your phone, Dropbox. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Don, how are you?
Yeah, no, there was a lot of stories, especially like when Zach was hosting Paranormal Challenge there. God, there's so many stories.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of non-paranormal stories about Linda
so
Vista.
many non-paranormal stories.
So I've heard.
Yeah,
I've never been there, but so I've heard.
I was there when the Hollywood Ghost Hunters were there, and it consists of the guy that played Leatherface in one of the movies. The other guy, one of the guys played Jason. and some other guy, I forgot his name, Rick Callender. I'm not sure his name is. They were there looking around Linda Vista, I guess, just to have it on film, And basically, what they were doing was running around scaring each other. They weren't really investigating, So I was there for that, and it was kind of fun to watch because the guy that played Jason, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. He left early and he took off, so we were standing outside while the rest of them were filming, and then he comes driving back in about 20 minutes later. And I said, "Oh, the dead Jason dude's back," And he goes, "You guys be quiet. I'm gonna run up there and scare the fuck out of these guys." So I was like, "Okay, go ahead." So he snuck up there back to the third floor, and, like this, just scared the shit out of the rest of his friends, I guess. And that's just how it was. As people would, I think I heard Rob Zombie was there looking at sets or something to film stuff. I don't know if he ever filmed anything. Kane Hodder, there you go. I got choked by Kane Hodder at Linda Vista. And he was absolutely serious. He didn't fake it for the picture. He actually choked me so hard I was 2 seconds away from passing out. He just grabbed me and choked the shit out of me.
Wow. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's the type of guy he is. I mean, he's really funny.
No, that sounds like a blast.
But if no. But if you ask him to do something, I mean, it's all out.
Yeah. Right.
It's there's no faking anything with him. But he's such a cool guy.
Yeah, he was.
Hi, Illegally Blonde. And Steve, I wasn't picking on NJ. Katie mentioned it. I was just kind of repeating her comment. He choked me too. Same thing. Okay, so he choked Steve too.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
It sucks. I don't have that picture. I got a picture of the Leatherface dude. He choked me too, but not as bad as he faked it.
Right.
The Kane Hodder was all out, but I don't have a picture of that though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Our guest tonight is Wayne Poe. He's a friend of mine, and an investigator, filmmaker, fellow skeptic. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, I just the whole skeptic thing. It's not like even when I started the first documentary, I told myself, all right, I'm not going to go in saying, oh, this is bullshit. Oh, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I went in with a complete open mind. As I want to see a ghost. I want to hear a ghost. I want to touch one or whatever one's gonna. I want to experience all of that. So I'm going to be completely open minded. If you tell me there's a ghost there, I say, okay, I want to go over there and check it out. I'm not going to sit there and just say, oh, brother, this is crap. That's what, unfortunately, a lot of skeptics I know, that's their take on it. And I wanted to be completely open about it.
Yeah, and there's a difference. I mean, if you go in with a skeptic mind into any location, that's the way to go in. Because if you go in there with
confirmation bias.
Yeah, with confirmation bias, you're going to be highly disappointed.
Right.
I mean, no, I'm just now getting back to your documentary. It's I watched it again recently, and it's just so cool on who you had, and it's great seeing so many people that I haven't seen in years. And then, seeing Peter James also, that's pretty amazing. And Peter was such a nice guy. And the sad thing is a lot of investigators these days don't even know who he is. And it's sad.
Yeah, all that footage was captured by Frank Barekos, and he apparently he and another investigator, Luis Gonzalez, it was on my first documentary. They hung around Peter James a lot and learned a lot from him, and they took him over to Camarillo. This is like, I don't remember the exact date. This is like early 2000s, and he was I guess he suffered from asthma, and he was choked. If you of course have been to Camarillo, some of the places are pretty hard to breathe into because they've been closed up so much. Yeah. And he was coughing and going around as best he could, look at giving his impressions and things. I wasn't there. I never met Peter James, so Frank provided that footage for the documentary.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And those of you that don't know who Peter James is, he's a psychic, and he's the one that discovered Jackie on the Queen Mary. Anyway, that's just a little. And the funny thing is that's where I met Peter years ago. He was because he worked on the Queen Mary, and he would do a lot of research on the Queen Mary. So one time I just went, because I've never went to the Queen Mary to investigate. So I just went out there and took a tour. But I would pay to get on a tour because that's the way you get into some of the locations that are off limits to the public. So I would just stand way back, and the tour guide knew what I was doing. So he was like, cool. He was like, just hang back, just make sure you stay in contact with the group. But oh man, I was catching all kinds of EVPs. I was catching disembodied voices. We're hearing footsteps behind us. There was a couple that were kind of like hanging back with me because they were like interested in what I was doing. So it's pretty cool. And then, so I got off that tour and I was walking, and then I saw Peter walking on the one of the decks. And then I walked up to it, and then him and I were just sitting there chit-chatting for a while. And then he was like, oh, come on, let's go over to the pool area. And then he was trying to call Jackie and stuff. So it was kind of cool.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I did two of the tours. So I did one of the ghost tours, and it took us below the water line of the Queen Mary, right in the front of it. And so you're now under the water right now. And I'm looking around and saying, wow, because you could see the very bottom of the ship, and it was all rusty and everything. I was like, wow, I hope nothing happens while we're down here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Well,
no,
I took the ghost tour, the one with all the special effects and everything, and it's fun because it's like a haunted house kind of thing. But what really was cool is they take you to places where you can't go on the regular tours. Even that part, the special effects part, and I just love old ships and things like that. So you can go to these places that are usually off limits to the public, and it's just awesome to see, even if it's haunted or not haunted or whatever. It's just really cool.
Yeah, no, exactly. And they used to have a part of the tour where they took you, I think it might have been the same part where they took you in front of the ship where they had the German prisoners,
right?
Because that ship was used as a Navy ship. So they had the German prisoners up in the front, and that's where they had that collision, right? The ship crashed.
That's where I caught my very first EVP. This is before I was even in to the paranormal officially, but I caught my very first EVP ever. That was 2009, and it sounds like, because they were talking about, the guy doing the tour was saying, are you a Curacao sailor? And after a while, I heard, how could you, like that? That's the EVP I got down there.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's sad because, and the funny thing is, like, now they use that part of the ship for storage. So there's a lot of weird stuff that they were using the ship for, that were like amazing pieces of history.
Exactly.
And they were just shoving stuff into just cubby holes and using it for storage. That they could have done so much more with it. But
it looks like a hoarder lives down there. There's so many so many chairs, so many cabinets, and all from time periods. From the ship started from the 30s all the way to the 60s, and there's just so much in there, like furniture and things like that. That it should be. I mean, they're talking about they have this whole place surrounding the Queen Mary. They don't know what to do with that whole section, and they could have put a museum in there with all the stuff they got stuffed into the bulkheads. They could take that stuff out and clean it up and put it in a museum for people to see. I would think that'd be great.
Yeah. So so if you've never been to the Queen Mary, there's it's like it was a place where they had a bunch of little businesses that would it was to attract tourists, but there's a bunch of little shops, and that's what Wayne's talking about. So yeah, they could have taken a lot of that and created a museum. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, and and that's another place like Linda Vista. A lot of people tell me they've had experiences there, and how haunted it is. And I've been there for years, even way before I was ever into the paranormal. I've never experienced anything. Matter of fact, I was there one time when you were there, Rob, a few years ago. You had a party or something, and I stayed in the room by myself, and I conducted an EVP session, and nothing happened. You know, what happened? What did Josh get attacked?
No, he's getting undressed.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
Okay.
Just almost choked myself to death, but we're okay. Whatever the audience wants.
Was it the ghost of Kane Hodder?
Yeah, that's exactly. You know what? Synchronicity. I was actually being choked out by the ghost. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I literally lost oxygen for a second. I said, you know what? I may not recover from this.
Oh,
so
wow.
I had to step away. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, here's the tie, guys. It's not clip-on. It is not clip-on.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's just like everywhere else. I haven't felt any activity on the Queen Mary in years. I mean, we've been on the Queen, like Wayne said. I had parties there. I've spent the night there on many, many occasions, and went to all of the places that there's ways to get into the places that are off limits, especially if you know somebody. But yeah, there hasn't been any activity on that ship for years.
Yeah, I knew people. This is around 2004, 2005. I've known people there. They were called. They call people cosplayers right now. I don't know what they were called before, but these people had an annual thing on the Queen Mary for Indiana Jones, and everybody's with their hat and their whip and all that stuff, and they would stay on the Queen Mary and also go to Fort MacArthur. And they were telling me stories that you should have seen what happened in my room. That we were asleep and we heard the zippers going back and forth on our suitcases, and the water in the bathroom turned on. And this is way before I was into the paranormal. I said, "Really? That really happened?" I said, "Yeah, this happened." And we were listening to it all night. We couldn't sleep because everything was happening in our room. You know.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean. And you to hear those stories all the time. I mean, yeah, we did hear some crazy things happen. You know, I mean, like I said, we got disembodied voices, we got footsteps, we got a lot of things. And here's a funny story. So there was somebody that was crushed. His name was John Petter.
Petter, yeah.
He was crushed by one of the watertight doors. So a friend of mine was on the tour. Her and her boyfriend were on the tour. Now it's her husband. They were on the tour, and they were walking past there. And you know, they said that the tour was really boring. Nothing was happening, and a lot of people, you know, it was like late night. People were getting bored, and so she was starting to just like, you know, like having people laughing and stuff in the tour. Then all of a sudden they were walking past the door and they were talking about John Petter getting crushed there, blah, blah, blah. So they're walking away, and then she goes, "Here's Johnny." And then all of a sudden there was like loud banging and these are solid steel. And there's no way that you can bang on it and make noises. They said it sounded like somebody had a ball peen hammer. It was banging on the wall, and everybody started running, and there's escalators going up now. So everybody was running up the escalators, and it was banging, following them up.
Oh, wow.
Following up, banging on the escalator, and they said the whole escalator was shaking. And so everybody just like scattered. And then it was probably, so they went back on the tour. It was maybe a couple of years later, and they were talking about that story on the tour. Yeah, so the event that she made happen is now talked about on the tours.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
That is really intense. That type of sound with that type of hammer.
That's really if you ever go on the ship, the steel is literally maybe an inch and a half thick, so there's no way to make that banging sound. And they said it was so scary. But yeah, it was crazy.
Even for someone who's seasoned or has experienced intense moments like that can't be explained. That's a moment where everyone just kind of grabs what they're doing or drops whatever they have in their hands and they just leave. You just go.
Oh no, they ran. And people were crying. Literally, once we got outside, people were literally crying. There was people crying.
I understand. I'd probably cry. I mean, just being honest. I'd probably cry a little bit too. At least. Pure fear too.
Rihanna, Josh has been on an investigation with me that lasted for about 9 months. Josh?
About 9 months, right.
But I don't know if we can really talk about that right now.
We will at some point. We
will at some point.
The reason why I'm even on this show, which I still can't really justify, but the only thing I could really think of is that I have experience in ITC and as an audio engineer. That's where 25 years of my life has been. So one investigation, but many, many, many years of research and testing and things like that. But I've been on very few investigations. In fact, that's why I'm learning from the both of you right now, as you're telling me your stories about Linda Vista, Camarillo Hospital, things like this. And I'm really digesting it and trying to live vicariously through your experiences to really try and understand what's going on.
No, that's why I would want you on the ITC documentary just to talk to people and say, well, why do people say, oh, it's just a broken radio, this can't be anything good? As a sound engineer, I would love you to explain that on the documentary if
Absolutely.
We film it next time.
Yeah, and obviously I don't have any answers, but I can tell you what in general the field has discovered so far, or where we think it is now, where we think it's going, things like that. I could definitely speak to that, but any answers in terms of my own experimentation, I couldn't offer anything. Just more questions.
That's good. That's good enough. I mean, it's better than just people just like armchair paranormal watchers is saying, oh, come on, it's a broken radio, give me a break,
Right. Well, we can help them with that. Absolutely. We can turn those skeptics into, at least have them scratch their head and go, wow, there might be there might be something to this, where everyone kind of agrees there's something going on here. Definitely.
My first documentary, Night Stalkers, the second time it was shown publicly was at the Steve Allen Theater, and it's where the I don't want to say coven of skeptics, but I forgot the name, it's CCI or something like that. But there's these skeptics from the James Randi section of skeptics, and they were in the Steve Allen Theater, and they invited me to because I told them I was a skeptic who did this documentary, and which is true. So I showed it to them, and surprisingly, they were.
Let me show you how to create an amazing ad using stock footage. Go to artgrid.io. Look.
Sorry about that.
It's not me.
That was me. I'm sorry. I was trying to pull something up. I was going to give you props and show something.
Run an ad at the same time. We're not sponsored, you guys. This is not a trick. We're not sponsored.
Yeah, no. I was trying to find something on Hotel Camarillo, and I clicked on something and it opened it up.
Pulled up an Orbitz ad or something.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm trying to share something for Wayne. Sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay.
like, oh crap.
Well, what I was saying, there's a room full of skeptics, and they were surprisingly, well, at least nice about it.
Sorry about that.
What are you doing? We're live, man.
I was trying to copy a link.
Okay.
I'll have to do it on your computer.
No, it's fine.
And then send it over.
It's the ghost of John Peter.
Right. Yeah, Don. Don, by the way, Rob was picking on you about Saturday's show. I didn't want to let that comment go without someone drawing attention to it. He's ignoring me, Don. I don't know what to tell you. I tried. No, they love the show, Rob. That's all. Not sorry, Rob. Who are you kidding? They're picking on you. They're picking on you.
I'm afraid to say anything.
Shenanigans. No, go for it. I'm not trying to open anything anymore.
I'm waiting for another ad from Hertz rental cars. I'm just taking back. I'm just waiting for the chaos to end.
Well, the one thing I did.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, the one thing I noticed was that the original document, Night Stalkers, was an hour and a half, and it's good to show your stuff in an audience, because I was looking around and people started going like this, oh my God, like that, and I was thinking, well, maybe an hour and a half is too long for something like this, so I cut it down to an hour, and I got so much. I can make 5 other documentaries with all the extra footage I've got, but it's just nowhere to put it in all one place where people are going to want to sit there and just watch something like that for more than an hour. So I just keep my documentaries for about an hour. And this new one I want to work on ITC, I'm probably going to do that for 30 minutes or 30 to 40 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I think there's ways even at a half an hour you could introduce the topic to someone who knows nothing about this. Introduce the topic in a way where you can almost present the science, pseudoscience, metascience, however you want to classify it, but you could present the data we have so far almost in about 5 minutes or so, and kind of roll into it and let people know where we're at today. I mean, I think it's doable. I think if people are interested in the topic, or at least have the curiosity to sit down and see a topic like that, or see a documentary and say, you know what, what's this about? I think they could instantly become captivated by something that they see in at least a half an hour or so. Oh,
right. And I don't like to waste time, because if I don't want to sit there and go, EVP is, electronic voice phenomenon. You've seen that. If you're watching the documentary, you know what EVP is. So I don't want to waste time explaining what EVP is.
Right.
So I try to move through all that and just go, here's the stuff right here. This is it.
Even and I know that you've described yourself, or Rob has classified you as a skeptic. I mean, in many ways, we're all skeptics in this field of this topic. I am so surprised how many people, at least that I know of, that are audio engineers or that research EVP, still don't know about the radio or the ghost box. And even being that the two were almost in the 1950s by Dr. Konstantin Radeva and Frederick Jurgensen, they were used almost hand in hand. They recorded and they used interfrequency recording on the radio. So these two things were kind of came up together in research in the ITC field, and yet so many people, EVP still seems to be the dominant form of capturing audio evidence for ITC. And the radio or the ghost box is so foreign to some people, or they don't even know about it. Like radio, what do you mean scanning frequencies? I'm like, and I'm introverted, I'm kind of a hermit, and I found out about it right away, or a few years after it happened. So I'm so surprised there's so many people who know so much about EVP aren't even aware of even direct radio voice scanning the ghost box frequencies.
When it was explained to me, after I saw so many coincidences coming up, they were telling me, okay, you're like a quarter of a second you spend on each radio station, and if you get the same voice on all those radio stations in a quarter of a second saying a sentence you can understand, that's something there. It's impossible to have the same DJ on all these stations saying something consecutively, making a sentence you understand. And also, there's they said one investigator said, I've never had Madonna sing something on an ITC voice. It was not a song. It's nothing like that. And people are cursing during some of these sessions, you can't curse on the FCC airwaves.
Right.
You can't say F you and this and that and really hardcore stuff.
Right.
But that stuff is coming through.
Yeah, I mean, if you were scanning shortwave, you might. I mean, I'm just thinking, as a hardcore skeptic, they would say, well, it's shortwave. Someone's on their ham radio, or someone's speaking through some device where you're picking up cussing and they're allowed to cuss because they're not being monitored. But at the same time, we're scanning FM and AM. You're scanning the major stations that are in your city or outlying city, and AM even. It's so hard to say that it is coming from the radio, especially when you hear 4, 5, 6, 7 cuss words in one session, in a 5-minute session.
Yeah. Well, the room full of skeptics I was talking about for Night Stalkers, they were interested in ITC. They wanted me to explain it myself, and a lot of them they weren't being sarcastic or jerks or anything. They really wanted to know, even though they didn't believe it, And one of them told me, I'd be more impressed, because they were talking about my name kept coming up, Wayne Poe or Poe, over and over again. And one told me, I'd be more impressed if your last name was Abramowitz, and that came up. As I understand what you're saying, because Poe sounds like a bunch of other things,
Sure.
but something. But this guy at the Wolf Manor, Scott Grunwald, he said his last name came up. Grunwald isn't exactly something you can mistake for a sandwich or dog or something,
Right. Yeah, I mean, there again, I think there needs to be more statistical modeling done with ITC. I still think that, there's, 1 billion people researching it and 5 people documenting it properly, using statistical modeling and showing, okay, we hear these responses, we get it, but let's look at this over a period of time, 5 years. Let's find out how many times your name's been called or what's been said at certain times. And once we start looking for these patterns, that's when you can start tying everything together. Because we know it's there. I mean, anyone in this chat knows, we don't have to convince anyone, but documenting it properly. And I think that would also help the skeptics see, if they don't want to believe that they're hearing it for whatever reason, they can actually look at the data points and go, well, you know what, there is something here. I mean, you can't deny that connection when you look at the modeling. So I think that would help too. Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. Please let us know when you're doing this documentary. I'd love to contribute any way I can.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Yeah. I keep, my hours at work keep changing, so I'm trying to get a time where I can go back to Rob's house and not be sick and interview him.
I'm not sure Rob's not pumping out some high frequency, something or other from his garage, and through all of his testing, it just people can't. He can handle it, but most people can't. I don't know. Mad scientists can handle it.
Yeah, and I told him, no, you got to come back. And I still have his Hack Shack here that he won. I told him, I'm not.
That's right. You won the Hack Shack. That's right.
You have to come pick it up. I'm not gonna, take it to you. You have to come to my house and pick it up.
Oh, it doesn't include free shipping. Oh, that's so cheap. Oh, that's so cheap.
No, I want to see if he's affected again.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to. Actually, I would like to see that too. It'd be interesting because, like I said, I don't feel anything. I'm not psychic, but something goes on sometimes. So it's really weird. It's something I don't know why it would affect me, but
right.
It's interesting. That whole night was kind of crazy, and I mean, I'm kind of glad that you did experience it because, for a while there, I mean, I thought it was only me, but after that night, it just kind of confirmed. But then after that, it just kept happening. So
it might have been because Eric was there.
It could have been.
Yeah,
that could have been too.
Casey's listening. Let's talk about this another time. I don't know if he's listening.
He might.
He might be in the chat. If you're in the chat, Eric, say something.
I don't think he is. He would have said something by now.
Okay.
He's out chasing ambulances right now.
Wow. That has many implications, but okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that or he's stalking Brittany, trying to get some paparazzi pics to make some money.
There you go. Hey, if any of you watch either of my documentaries on Amazon Prime, give it a star or something, or write a review. Even if you don't like it, give it a review because it helps anyway. It helps things out, so I just know somebody is still watching it. That'd be cool.
Do you want to mention the titles again very clearly for everyone so there's no confusion at all?
Sure.
Here, let me find it on
post the links. Yeah.
Let me find it. It's gonna blare again though. How can I do this? You know what? I know what I'll do. Hold on. Go ahead.
Well, the first one's Night Stalkers, and the other one's Hotel Camarillo.
I'm pulling it up on my phone. Then I'm gonna send it over to me.
Wow, Katie. Jeez. Okay.
Here it is.
I don't even know how do I write this in the chat?
Yeah.
Copy.
Yeah, we're gonna post a link right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sending it to myself on here, and then I'll just copy and post it.
Yeah, Don, you're referring to Ed. Yeah, Rob has an Ed on his property. That's quite a nuisance, to say the least. No, Katie, yeah, he's a pain. Yeah, Katie, I wasn't inferring that, but just wow. We're friends, everyone. It's fine. I think you can tell by now. Yeah. So Ed is the spirit at Rob's house that interferes during spirit box sessions and makes himself known. Rob can go into more detail. If you've listened to the Saturday shows, you've heard plenty of I don't even want to say his name because he'll show up somewhere sometimes. So, but
that's one of the 4 spirits here,
right. And he started coming through my boxes too, Rob. I tried.
Serious?
Yeah, he kept Ed, and then I actually told him to leave, and he laughed. There was like a really deep, kind of a laugh, like you can't get rid of me. And I was just like, I know I can't. And I just was like, geez, why? I was doing so well before he showed up. That's all right. We'll figure something out. It is Katie.
All right. So I just copied it. So I'm going to post it up.
That is one syllable. Yeah. We're not qualified to host a show, Katie. I told you that. We're just here because we like to. She's making fun of our evidence, Rob. I'm like, I don't know what else to say.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone in our audience probably has better evidence than us. Just what it is.
All right, so I just went ahead and posted it. So there's a link to Wayne's YouTube site, and I linked Hotel Camarillo. That was one of the sites. I can see if I can find it on Amazon real quick too.
Okay, hold up. The one link is up. Good. Yes, you win, Katie. You win. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the one link is up. I see that in the chat. That's a YouTube link. Okay. Can we post the?
So you see, Josh, this is something. See, I got the audio working. That I can share the audio over the broadcast from any source.
Right. You're right.
And it's so good now that I can't freaking shut it up.
I know. But I can see you cooking up some ideas. I can already tell through your smiling. I know what's coming. I know it's coming. And I have no controls over the show here. I mean, I'm at your mercy completely. Oh, that's funny. So when do you think you'll release the ITC documentary? How long until you think you release it?
Oh, I've barely started putting pieces. I haven't even really started it yet. I've got pieces together what I want to do, okay. But I don't have really a release date in mind. I want to do it sometime this year. That'd be great. But I haven't even did my first interview yet. That would be Robin, and I'd love to interview you for it.
Definitely.
And I love to do a few new things. I've got stuff on my archives of ITC stuff, but I like to do a few new ITC things. I haven't done anything since before the pandemic, Right. So I'd love to get some new stuff in there too.
Definitely. Okay, and Rob, thank you. We just posted the link to the Hotel Camarillo.
Hotel Camarillo, yeah.
Wayne Poe, and that's the Amazon link. That's the
Amazon link. Yep.
And Hotel Camarillo is, again, it's a take on Hotel California, because there's a rumor that Hotel California is a song about Camarillo State Hospital and a stay there, because they had a drunk tank there and people who were being treated for drugs and stuff like that. And it's rumored that one of the members of the Eagles stayed at at Camarillo State Hospital at one time or another, and that's what Hotel California is about. And also, a lot of you'll see at the end of the documentary, a lot of investigators notice before they get to Camarillo or after they leave, Hotel California comes on the radio. It happens a lot, a whole lot. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's just that you expect it. You turn on the radio and say, yeah, okay, we're going to wait for Hotel California to come on, and there it is. As soon as either when you're leaving or just getting there.
It's an incredible synchronicity.
Yeah,
it really is. Wow, interesting. And those are the things we need to model. Like if we had statistical modeling on that, how many times it happened to people, when it happened. Obviously people say it happens a lot. But again, seeing something like that on paper is really compelling. You start to see these patterns and you go, wow, what is going on here? I mean, these things have been documented. And that's what I think the paranormal needs more of. I feel like with ITC and the paranormal. And I know some people do it, so I don't want to throw everyone under the bus, but it is time consuming. But I feel like that is something that could help accompany a lot of the research that everyone is doing.
Right. I agree. Maybe that's some facts we could put in the documentary also. How to catalog your experiences and keep them so you could share them with everybody and see what's going on in certain places.
Right. Well, yeah. Please keep us updated on that documentary. Rob and I would definitely love to be a part of that. Oh, I'm speaking for Rob, but I know he would. So
no,
yes,
we've talked about it, so we're just waiting till Wayne has some time.
Oh, that's great.
I'm ready, but whenever.
Okay.
All right, Wayne. Well, it was good having you on. Just keep us posted on anything that you want to advertise, or if you want to come on the show again, talk about, anything else, any other projects you are getting ready to work on, or anything, or the progress of your documentary, whatever you like. You're always welcome.
Oh, great! Well, thank you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and we'll talk to you soon.
Definitely talk to you soon.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
okay.
Wayne.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was Wayne Poe, and we have the links in the chat for his Hotel Camarillo, and we have a YouTube link as well. Definitely check that out, because Wayne, someone approaches something again with a skeptical mind, but at the same time is not unreasonable in trying to explain everything away. And he's one of the people that I know Rob has turned to, and so many other investigators have turned to for experience and wisdom. And his name is synonymous with research and a proper investigative technique in the paranormal world. And even though I haven't had as much experience, I've known of him for so long, and now I know him. But definitely someone you want to check out the documentary and learn as much as you can.
Yeah, we've investigated together at a bunch of different locations throughout Southern California. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And it's sad because a lot of these locations, they're not really active anymore, or they're just off limits. Just because of circumstances with the paranormal, things that have happened with the paranormal, and people just abusing locations now. A lot of these locations are off limits, and it's sad because there was a lot of great locations, but I hear that happening everywhere.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, you would know this better than I would, but at one point someone had approached me. I was assisting another team, really just helping them set up audio equipment. I didn't even go on the investigations. But someone told me that they were actually shopping for insurance, and it was very costly because some of these locations mandated that these teams had full coverage. And I'm talking bodily injury, property damage. I mean, these were multi-million-dollar policies. I could be wrong. Maybe there were a few hundred thousand.
No. Depending on the location, a lot of locations here in California required at least a minimum of $1 million liability policy.
Wow.
I did hold the policy for 5 years.
Okay, so then you can speak to this.
Yeah, so I held a policy for 5 years, and then once Lincoln Heights, once the building was condemned, I let my policy lapse because I just was like, well, that's the last big location that I wanted to really investigate, and and I was always welcome there. So, all I had to do was like, hey, I'm gonna come pick you up, take me to the jail, and pick up the basically the caretaker, and then give her a ride home, and that was it. Maybe buy her dinner.
Right.
And that was my end.
Right. It was a lot simpler. Yeah. And it wasn't, the industry has changed so much since that point in time when you could just do something like that. It was more of an intimate, quick meet and greet. And then, okay, you can investigate the location. It didn't require full-blown 7-figure insurance policy.
No. Well, I mean, I did have, and that was one of the reasons why I was let in. So, and anytime I wanted to come in, because they knew I had the insurance policy,
Right.
They didn't, they would just hand me the keys. All right, have fun.
Right.
And I had full run of the building. And if you ever went there, and the funny thing is the building just popped up on my timeline today. That the last time I was there was 5 years ago.
Okay. Wow. That's gone quick.
It's been, I'm like, holy crap, that was 5 years ago. Yeah, that was the last, because it was condemned. 5 years ago today. Wow. 5 years ago today was the last day that they allowed. No,
Really?
Last day was, today was my last day. So it would have been 5 years ago, or they condemned the building 5 years ago, Friday.
Okay.
So this Friday. So 2 days from now. So when I found out it was going to be condemned, I said, I'm going back. And it was during it was on Sunday, I believe. So it was crazy.
Wow. So,
because I'm trying to think, the anniversary date. So it's crazy.
Oh, time flies. Not getting any younger.
No.
And since you've stopped investigating, I know that a lot of your energy and time obviously been put into ITC research and designing radio-based ITC equipment. You've told me about something tonight that you possibly want to share. I'm rolling into that because I'm excited and I can't wait any longer.
So anyway, so I had, I don't know, something happened during the last investigation I went on 2 weeks ago, where I was getting a lot of crazy, I was basically hearing voices. I'm going crazy. But no, something was telling me to go outside. And so when I went out there, I heard footsteps, like somebody was following me out. So I looked around. It was like on the wraparound porch. It was an old, actually where the Chevron company first started here in California. It's called Mentryville. So it's a little oil town where oil production first took place here in California. That's where the Chevron company first started. Anyway, so I was at the house, the main house. Something told me to go outside, so I went outside and I heard something following me. So I thought it was, one of the other investigators following me out. So I took a peek around the corner. Nope, there was nobody there. So when I was standing there, I was looking through the main window looking at the other investigators. And a little girl said, I'm going to be standing by JoJo. JoJo's, he's a radio DJ here on Kiss FM in LA. And I was like, did she just say I'm going to be standing by JoJo? And I was like, that was weird. So how does she know his name? So I turned on so I had my ghost box. I turned it on and it said, come in, I'm by JoJo on my ghost box. And I was like, what the hell? I just got it on my ghost box also, when I actually heard it also audibly before I turned on my ghost box. So I went back in and I'm sitting there. We're standing around doing an EVP session. And all of a sudden, JoJo started getting a feeling like somebody's standing next to him, and he was getting like cold, and it was hot. It was hot. This is in Santa Clarita. So it was about 98 degrees inside the house. And it was about 5 o'clock it was early evening, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
That West Side is brutal.
Yeah. So he was like, oh my God, I'm getting cold. And it was freaking hot in the house. Like I said, it was we had we had a thermometer there and inside the house, and yeah, it was 98 degrees inside the house. No windows can open. There's no breeze coming through, so we're just sitting in there, hot and sweaty. And all of a sudden, there was somebody else standing to JoJo's, so he was standing here. So to JoJo's right, there was somebody else between. So there was a gap between. They were standing about 6 feet apart. We're all pretty. Yes, we know that, even though we all knew each other, we all, were vaccinated, but we're still keeping our distance from each other, just out of respect. We weren't wearing masks, but we were just social distancing. And so there was a gap between about 6 feet apart between him and this other young gentleman that was basically facilitating the house. And he started feeling something to his left. And so, yeah, then we started hearing a little girl's voice. And I was holding, there was like a little bear that is, it's kind of like a REM pod. It's called like a boob buddy or something. Anyway, I was kind of laughing because it kept on going off. And and I'm just like, okay, why is this little bear going off? And it's talking. But we were getting like we were hearing like a little girl audibly, I mean, like disembodied voice. But whenever she would say something, the bear would just start like giggling. And it was every single time she would talk, the bear would go off. Yeah, so it was just really strange. After a while, I just felt like I didn't belong there. For some weird reason, I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm getting all this crazy activity, but I just don't belong there. I feel like I'm wasting my energy doing this when when I should be concentrating on something else, concentrating on my Saturday show. There was just a lot of weird feelings I was getting. So this was on Sunday.
Right.
And then the next day, I just said, you know what? I can't investigate anymore. I'm just not feeling it. I feel like my energy is needed somewhere else. So with all of that said, I also decided to stop building ghost boxes.
That won't last long. I won't let him. That's not going to, don't worry about it.
So I'm building up to what I'm just about to say. So with all of this stuff happening, with me saying I'm going to start building ghost boxes, I just said, you know what? There's something else that I want to accomplish, and something else was bothering me, and something else, and we've talked about it before. There's a box out there called the Geo box. Yes, I named a box. There was a Geo box that was posted up on eBay here recently. And it was and they were asking $3,500 for that box. So
just a moment of silence for that.
So I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? I know how much they paid for that box. I know how much that box went for when it was going for $800 shipped. Or maybe it was $800 plus $100 shipping, somewhere around there. And I'm just like, because I owned one of those boxes, I wanted to see what made it tick. I wanted to open it up, see what was, how it worked. Wanted to see, and I don't do that with all the devices I buy. I've bought other ghost boxes I've never opened up. I just wanted to see what this box was.
Right.
It claimed to do certain things which were not true.
Right.
There's a lot of things about that box, and I was like, are you kidding me right now? They really charged that much for this?
Right.
And it just sounded like garbage. And I'm being honest, I bought one.
No, it objectively does. I mean, visually seeing the results on a spectrograph or seeing the frequencies that it allows in and the amplitudes of the frequencies that it's restricting, it's a mess. Objectively, it's a mess. If you like it subjectively, that's one thing. You can't argue that. But objectively, sonically, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It just is.
It's a beautiful looking box. I'll give it that.
It looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
It does look amazing.
You know, I mean, if I would have kept it, I would have stripped it out and just used the case it came in, because those cases, I mean, honestly, if you can find one of those radio cases, you're going to pay $500 for it.
Right. Oh, so, the casing is incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, now looking back at it, okay, $800. Well, if I would have paid maybe $600 and stripped it out anyway, just to use the box.
Right.
So
anyway, the box of the enclosure was worth 20 times what the components were worth.
Oh yeah, hands down. I mean, the components were, you know, a $20, $10 Chinese amplifier. The reverb tank was another $20. And you could buy those reverb tanks directly from the manufacturer.
Right.
You know, like I said, I mean, just everything inside of it, it would have maybe cost $100 for all the parts. Maybe. I'm being generous.
Right.
I'm being generous. But anyway, so it just made me rethink, you know what? This box could have been something amazing if done right, because with the way that the amplitude, with everything, the phonetics of the box, the way that that it was phonetically connected and how it should have been, I guess, executed should have been totally different. It was totally executed at the wrong way.
Correct.
So when I was having these little, I guess, when I said I'm not going to do something, I was kind of playing around one day for a few hours, and I came up with something. And what I came up with was the way that this box should have been executed. And now, if you guys want to hear what this box sounds like, I will play you a little clip. I actually sampled some of so I took the line out from my box, and when I was trying to dial everything in, I recorded a clip of the audio. And I know Josh wants a copy of the audio file.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
So anyway, so I ran the line out and recorded because I just didn't want to record the video, because sometimes when you record a video, you don't get what the audio actually sounds like, because you're kind of losing that translation. So I wanted to get a very clean,
right,
sounding. I mean, even on a video, it sounds, oh my God, crazy amazing. But
now, you recorded several clips. Is this, and I know I don't know what our audience is going to hear, but there was one you played me that was cleaner or clearer than the other. I think because the one was normalized.
Oh yeah. So when I sampled the clip, it was a little low, so I tried to they call normalize the clip. So normalizing the clip kind of it kind of tries to amplify certain frequencies and lower others. So basically that's what it does. Anyway, so let me go ahead and share this clip. So this clip that I'm going to play is about a minute long. The original file's a lot longer because I was dialing in the audio when I was playing around with it. So anyway, but this clip I just recorded a minute. And let me go ahead and play it. Now, there is a lot of reverb in this, so just a heads up. And it will sound like a geobox on steroids. Okay, so here we go.
960. I asked him about the English. Zoom on. Perform. They did. Oxford trade. It's the kind of.
Put it in. You know what?
And that was a clip.
Yeah, you can definitely, the first thing I could tell from my audio engineering experience, you can hear the spring verb. You can definitely hear the characteristics of a spring verb. But what I really like that you've done, Rob, is it's controllable. It's nothing that's affecting the phonetical clarity at all. And the rounding time, or what I estimate to be, again, I have nothing on graphs yet. I'd love to get an audio file to do some research on it, but it sounds like it's right around the 50 milliseconds area. So it encapsulates the word completely. It accentuates all of the syllables, but it stops after the word is complete. It's almost like a compressor. It almost returns to a vacuum state in the sense that it almost goes right back to silence, and it doesn't ring through and let certain phonetical sounds continue past the word stopping. And I feel like that really helps create a fuller sound without, again, affecting the phonetical clarity or accuracy. Very, very good.
Yeah, so basically, I had to recreate the sweep rate of the Jensen radio.
That's a Jensen.
It's not a Jensen.
Oh, I see. So okay. I'm just going to listen and shut up. Go ahead.
So basically, I had to tune. So basically, what I did was I listened to Ghost Box sessions using a Jensen radio. So then what I did was I took my radio and adjusted the sweep to where I timed it to where it sounded about, and you have to take this in mind. I had to do it by ear. So I didn't really, so I'm just manually sitting there tuning it to try to get the same sweep rate, because the Jensen radio, the sweep rate is really slow. It is about, I don't know, it's about maybe 50. Well, it's slow. I mean, it's probably about 800 millisecond, maybe.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's really slow.
It's about 800. It's between 7 and 800 millisecond, I would think.
Right.
But the reverb is totally controllable. So you can take the reverb totally out, or you can put it in. And that was pretty saturated to where it's going to sound phonetically like a geobox. But if you put them side to side and you listen to a geobox and then you listen to this box, there's no comparison.
Well, I think other than the non-adjustable sweep rate, the inability to record raw audio from the geobox, there were certain factors that were really troubling for the ITC operator. But really, the problem I had with it was the oversaturation of reverb. That there was so much ambiguity that everyone who heard one heard something different. And again, we've used this example. I heard cat, I heard bat, I heard hat. It was just ongoing. It seemed like it was a debate listening to this particular device. And all that was made with good intentions. Again, we've talked about improper input impedance on that box, the way the radio was connected to the amp. There were so many things that were affecting the frequency or the semblance of words that I feel like this is a solution that for people that want a geobox, that want the reverb, this is it. And to answer Ben's question, he wanted to know if you could build this from the ground up. And essentially, this is your
this was built from the ground up.
Right. It's your detuned FM receiver with the T555 Texas Instruments timers chip, and combined with the Spring Reverb, which I know that's your cocktail, and that's for you to reveal. But at the same time, I feel like the way you set it up is something I could even get behind. And Raina says, she says it's amazing, but I don't know about the reverb. And I'm not a big fan of reverb. I don't use it in my research, but something like this is something I could even get behind, because I'm going, you know what? I can still hear the phonetical clarity, and I'd love to hook it up to my equipment and actually visually see the frequencies and say, okay, is this reverb, attenuating any frequencies or reducing the amplitude? And I'm willing to bet it's not. That's just my early guess from what I've heard. I'm willing to bet it's not. I'm very impressed with the way you set this up, especially for your customers that want the Geobox sound.
I mean, to me, it was like everything that I was hearing out of the box, running it for, I ran it for a good 40 minutes one time. And the responses that I was getting, I was like, holy crap, this is like so clear. And the funny thing is you get there's no ear fatigue.
Right.
And you can sit there and listen to it for a long time. After a while, yes, the reverb does get a little annoying, but for what it is and for what it was modeled after, it's still really clean sounding, and it's not muddied.
Right.
Where it's too wet.
Exactly.
Anyway.
And exactly, when it's oversaturated, the amplitudes of the frequencies are altered. And in terms of psychoacoustics, what the ITC operator perceives is an altered sound from what is being received from the radio. That's why you have to be really careful with effects. And if you're going to, unless it's a situation like something Rob's created, where you can maintain the phonetical accuracy and the frequency isn't disturbed, I really recommend, and we've talked about this, busting effects or creating a separate channel for something like that. But we'll save that for another discussion. We'll get into DAWs and how you can get into a DAW completely free, and we can help educate people how to do that.
Let me show you something really quick.
Yeah, please.
I'm gonna share. Let me share my screen really quick.
Oh, great. I think I asked if you could share your screen. That would really help.
Why is it not?
I know, but yeah, Lisa, exactly, is really the thing that's so important with conducting ITC sessions. And as an ITC operator, we're all ITC operators here. We all have that in common. It's ear fatigue. It's how, your stamina, your perseverance. We need to work with tools and equipment that enable us to go longer and enable us to conduct the research without being tired after 3, 4, 5 minutes. And there's a lot of great boxes out there that you don't have to worry about ear fatigue. But I really like the way this is implemented, especially with the reverb. It's very tasteful. It's not too heavy. It's accentuating what it needs to, and it's not disturbing the frequencies that it shouldn't be disturbing. So very impressive. Oh, wow. Now that's a trip.
Yeah.
I'm seeing infinite screens.
I know. Hold on.
And infinite me's.
Maybe that would work.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Do that now, right?
Perfect.
All right. So you can see still the frequency responses on how that looks. So you still can see like some of the really highs and the really lows that aren't being cut out in the frequency responses, because if you take another type of clip from like something like that from something that's real muddied, you wouldn't see a lot of that, a lot of the different peaks and highs and lows in the frequency responses here. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show.
And what's interesting too is you captured that in, as we discussed earlier, 44.1 kilohertz, which will accurately represent 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, which is the basic limit of human hearing. So you can see that none of the frequencies have been cut off. We haven't used any high pass, low pass filters. That is exactly what you see is what you get. And that's really, as an operator, that's what you want. whatever you hear, whatever you see, you want exactly what was coming out of the equipment you're using. And then in post, as they say later, if you feel like you need to change something, add reverb, noise reduction, whatever, that's up to you. But make sure the signal that you're getting in to start with is clean. Lisa says, being a psychic, she doesn't need the ghost box. And I totally understand that. And for lack of better words, as an example, the ghost box is built inside of you. It's something that's a part of you. So I do understand that. But you're right. It does help your clients hear their loved ones' voices, because it is something where we're using our human senses, our 5 senses, and we're able to hear or see something that helps go along with what you're providing them. And it makes for a wonderful experience. It really does. Thank you for commenting with that. Yeah.
The program that program there is just a free program. It's called Audacity. The only reason why I used it was because it doesn't take forever to load like some of the professional programs that I use.
Right.
It loads fast because there's not a lot of layers to that program as opposed to Audacity or Adobe Audition or something other programs that I do use.
Well, and there's some very impressive free plugins with Audacity where you can. They have plugins where you can visually see the waveform and the frequencies, the amplitudes. You can actually analyze the waveform coming in that are absolutely free. Audacity is a fantastic program to use. Absolutely. And it's completely free.
Yeah, no, it is completely free. It's just like if I use Reaper or something like that, it would take forever because there's other plugins it has to load. There's just a lot. So that's why.
Or Pro Tools popping up with buffer size error messages. Restart your computer. Your buffer size is it's like, oh God. Like, yeah, I know. Some DAWs that are very expensive that promise the world do just that, but at the expense of restarting your computer every 15 minutes if you don't have a state-of-the-art computer. They're very expensive. So something like Audacity is an excellent program. People write open source code for it. There's free plugins. And a lot of universities, you'd be surprised how many students have written plugins for Audacity that you can visually see the frequency or the waveform you're working with. It's very impressive. And I've actually used it quite a few times as a data logger, as kind of a quick, simple, free data logger. And it's very impressive. I do like Audacity.
Sorry, my other monitor turned on, and I was like, oh my God, it's being distracting.
Yeah, Legally Blonde, you have Pro Tools, so we could talk all day about buffer size and sample size and restart your computer. You're running too many plugins.
Pro Tools is cool. Just a little overkill.
It is. It's
Reaper is amazing. I use Reaper a lot.
And PreSonus has Studio One. They've got the new package they're releasing with the Black Lion audio interface. It's actually a very impressive DAW. People use Apple Logic, GarageBand. I mean, there's so many different DAWs you can work with.
Yeah.
Ben, learn Audacity because you can really do a lot of serious research with your audio-based ITC with Audacity.
Yeah, but now I want to start doing some tracks and things like that to work with some of the other projects that I'm working on.
Right.
So I just installed FL Studio so I can start putting down some tracks, but I don't know. We'll see.
Excellent. Yeah, in fact, there's some great freeware programs. There's one I'd like to recommend to everyone. It's called Sonic Visualizer. Sonic Visualizer. You can just Google that. It's completely free. And actually what it allows you to do is load an audio waveform into your computer. And there's a ton of free plugins to basically examine that waveform visually. It'll tell you frequency, amplitude. It'll tell you data points. If there's any commonalities between certain sections of audio that are at the beginning of your session or at the end of your session. So it will do a lot of the hard work for you. And you can really draw some interesting data from that. How you interpret it again is completely, that's a whole different discussion. But at least being able to apply some type of data collection or modeling with your research, look up Sonic Visualizer, and they have a whole bunch of free plugins, and you can actually start seeing your ghost box sessions, not just hearing them, but you can actually start seeing them and what they look like.
So yeah, this is what I got to deal with when I'm doing my show too. Hold on. Can you see that now?
That looks like a whole bunch of latency. like waiting to happen. Software mixers are I'm just joking. Never mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, your whole system sounds great. When I see a software mixer at work, I'm like, oh, here comes the latency.
But you know what though? I'm like surprised that there isn't any. There's no latency.
There's none. I'm very impressed.
And as soon as I did that, I'm like, but it opened up my system to broadcast everything I put out there on my computer.
Oh, Ben, the program is called Sonic Visualizer. Sonic Visualizer, completely free. And that same company has a whole bunch of plugins that will, again, help you visually see the waveform, the Ghost Box session. And if your computer is fast enough, if your processors are fast enough, you can do it in live, real time. As you're listening to the session, you can see the waves come in visually and find out where there's anomalies or data points that you want to collect and research. It's fascinating. It really opens up the world of Ghost Box research that much further.
Yeah, it's the system I'm running this thing on is it's an i9 10 core.
Oh, wow. Nice.
64 gigs of memory.
That's why there's no latency. I was wondering like how you pulled that off, and you actually pulled up the screen of your software mixer, and I was like, how are you doing that over broadband? Like I do it at work and it freezes or there's massive latency.
Yeah, no, there's none.
Wow, impressive. Yeah, Ben live. Yeah.
On the Mac there was so much latency.
Right.
I finally killed my Mac this weekend.
They have their pros and cons.
No. I mean, because I was running a Hackintosh, so I mean, I do have my MacBook Pro, but yeah, for streaming, Mac can't even it can't keep up.
Right.
Anyway,
Illegally Blonde, just to let you know, can you record music with that? Sonic Visualizer really is one channel or one stereo sum or stereo mix, left and right, or mono. It doesn't give you the ability to open multiple tracks and record live. There might be a paid version that does that, but the free version that I've worked with on my home studio is just either left, right, summed or mono. But really, that's all you need.
Yeah, it is just left, right, summed or mono.
But yeah, it's something that, again, it's free and it can get you into the world of visually seeing frequencies. And it almost opens up your mind to go, wow, now that I can see what's coming in and I can see where this communication is happening, again, you can start seeing patterns visually. And it really does help the research. Again, I don't think it's going to answer, the big questions, if you will, but it's definitely going to give you an edge up in understanding what exactly is going on with your equipment.
Yeah, Audacity actually does multi-track recording. So
right. I just don't think Sonic Visualizer does. I don't think it does. Yeah, I don't.
But if somebody's looking for a free program to do that, Audacity does.
Yeah.
Or if you get Pro Tools first,
exactly,
you can do up to 4 tracks using that. After 4 tracks, you have to get the paid version.
Right. But 4 tracks, I mean, for the research we're doing, really, that's all you need. Yeah, I was going to say 4 is.
Yeah, just get Pro Tools first. You're limited to the plugins that you can use.
Right.
I think you can use up to 32 plugins maybe on Pro Tools first.
That's not bad.
I think
that's not bad at all.
16. But then after that, then you have to go to the paid version. And it's sad because they went to the subscription based.
I know. I don't want to talk about it. It's ruined my personal life and my work life. It's absolutely destroyed my life. So yeah, that's another.
John, I might build some of those boxes at some point. It all depends. I don't know yet. I did promise one of the boxes that I am working on. I actually started for a client before I said I wasn't going to build boxes for anymore. But then again, that box is going to the UK.
Yeah, there you go.
The UK is like where all my boxes live. There's actually one of the most expensive boxes I've ever built is on a TV show in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a show. God, trying to think what city. Amsterdam. Yeah, the show's based in Amsterdam. So
I was gonna inflate the market and declare the box you made me the most expensive one you've made. I was just gonna start talking it up and all this. It's like, I guess I can't do that anymore.
yeah,
I would never sell it. I'm kidding.
I don't even have any more of those boxes anymore to build those radios. I just sold my last two.
Wow.
The two black ones.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, those are gone already?
Yeah. They went to, one went to a guy in LA who has one of my boxes already. Another one went to the UK.
Wow. Well, then maybe we are on the right time slot. If that's most of
if
your audience is listening from.
Are going to, then I guess that's where most of the audience is plugging into.
Oh God, could you imagine hearing us first thing in the morning? Wouldn't that be the worst? Oh my God, you wake up and you hear us? Oh no.
And I do. That's where everybody wakes up and they're
we're someone's morning show, Rob. Oh no. Exactly. Oh my gosh. We're talking about Pro Tools. How exciting. God, they're driving to work listening to discussions about Pro Tools plugins. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, when you really think about this. Good night, Raina. Thank you for joining us.
Raina, good night.
Josh has an expensive box. I don't, it's priceless to me. I mean, I wouldn't sell it. It's priceless to me.
Yeah, the last box I have that I made.
I think the cover is
the one like yours.
Right. Yeah, you got to hold on to that. You have to have one for yourself. So let me ask you this, Rob. Then in terms of building these new boxes, and yes, that's very similar to the one I have with the duty cycle adjustment. Ripped out that reverb, gone. The new boxes that you're building, I know a lot of the people you've talked to and that have contacted you want your chip, your circuit, but with the reverb. So are you planning on building some of these? Because I also know that you're doing research with the cocktail of frequencies that we talked about that was similar to direct radio voice, but in the sense that you're not sweeping anything. So where are you? Are you pivoting again, or are you coming back to the ghost box scene?
No. I'm still I'm working on the frequencies. Actually, I mean, I stumbled onto something that I don't want to share yet. Yeah, I'm stumbling on this stuff that it's mind blowing. I did see somebody else recently kind of hearing the same thing, but a little bit different. Okay. Theirs is kind of more like EVP communication coming through. Mm-hmm. Basically coming through using white noise. Mm-hmm. It's weird. But mine, the voices that I'm hearing are more like direct voice. It's strange. I don't know if it's that whole communication thing that I have developed now. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
How much
until I start recording it and getting some of the samples. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could do is just say what I hear.
Right.
But it's coming through. Now I do have everything set up. I can just capture it on a whim. So I might have to just listen in and see. See where it goes.
Yeah, I was hoping that obviously as this progresses, I know so much of it you're still figuring out how much you're contributing to this, how much of it is the cocktail of frequencies, how much needs to be adjusted. There's an innumerable amount of variables. But once you figure that out, I hope just like tonight with the the recreation of the spring verb and your circuit, that ghost box. I don't want to call it that name. I don't know what you call it yet, but
I don't know. I mean, it's just
I'm hoping you share it. I mean, I'm hoping as these captures come along and you start to kind of get into your groove with this, I hope that you can start sharing some of that evidence, because there's a lot of people that would be interested in hearing this communication through mixed frequencies or a custom cocktail of mixed frequencies without any sweeping, just talking. So I know that would be of interest to a lot of people. And especially the one that you've played prior at one of our shows. I think it was, 2 months ago? I'm just estimating. That was incredible. I mean, that was a female's voice. There was no sweeping going on. And I know that,
but that's exactly what's coming through.
Those were 5 frequencies, right? That you had mixed together. I think it was like 4 or 5. Somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, there was a few frequencies that push through together. Like I said, somebody else is doing it using. They're trying to put in just white noise, static,
Right.
which, it's been done. I mean,
Right.
so I don't want to stay on that because it's like, I don't know. To me, it's not furthering anything. It's just working on something else that's being done. Go ahead.
What I was thinking is, from my perspective, in studying and researching audio, it seems like white noise was used because we couldn't pinpoint a frequency. We needed randomness in white noise because they were working with all frequencies to some degree. But if there is a method where you can use a cocktail of 4 or 5 properly mixed frequencies, depending on each individual saturation, that you could create clear communication where the white noise or the randomness may not necessarily be needed. Again, if you're providing the right vibrations or frequency. So,
okay. Would you rather listen to?
No,
I'm just going to say it. I mean, because I'm just trying to think of the type of music. Would you rather listen to elevator music or would you rather listen to white noise?
Elevator music. No, I mean, I wanted to give it clean, objectionable. Okay, white noise or elevator music. Elevator music. There's some good musicians who record that stuff, you guys.
No, I mean, but I'm just saying. I mean, I could have said new age music, right? Because it's more in tune to that. But some people don't realize. I mean, know what that is. So, like, it's just hard to describe.
Right.
So I had to just figure something out. It's not classical, that's for sure.
I liked your analogy. No, it's definitely sleepy time. It's in 4/4 time signature. It's pretty much just relaxed, sleepy time music. It's pretty chill.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, would you rather listen to elevator music or white noise?
Elevator music.
But it's going to give you the same results.
Right.
If not better.
And that's a really good analogy. And again, I think from our perspectives and our careers and our interests, you and I are very aware of ear fatigue and fatigue on the body in general when conducting research, especially this type of research. And I think that is a big proponent of why you move forward with what you did, is because, and why you created a low noise FM receiver for your ghost box, because you and I always talked about ear fatigue with different ghost boxes. I love this radio, but I can listen to it for 4 minutes. I got to turn it off because I have a headache or my eyes are crossing, whatever the case is. And I think that is where this is moving to. Not only do I think amazing results can be found from this, but at the same time, it is also considering the ITC operator, and that we have to research this, and this will eliminate a lot of that ear fatigue or fatigue to the body.
Yeah, I mean, so let's answer Ben's question really quick, and then I'm going to continue on this ear fatigue thing. So basically, the clicks that you would hear is the stepping between the frequencies. That's the only way that I can describe it. So basically, so any type of wave generator, things like that, what they're doing is they have to send a signal to push forward. I'm just trying to think of a layman's way of breaking it down. So it's pushing out that frequency, and then it pushes out that signal to go to the next. So between those, when you hear the clicking, that's where it's breaking that frequency.
Right. That's correct. And it's breaking that frequency, but it also depends on the shape of the waveform. Because a lot of the times, some radios have a sine wave in terms of the sweeping characteristics, and you're not going to hear a click. You're literally going to hear the it's almost going to be such a smooth fade in and fade out. You're not even going to be able to tell that it's changing frequency along the band. So again, it depends on the waveform. A lot of the times with the triangle wave that a lot of boutique ghost boxes use or utilize, you will hear that type of clicking. A lot of times too with a random sweep, especially with the old mini boxes and a lot of AM radios, you will hear that step sweep, especially if it's a random jump, random ramp, depending again on how the sweep is formed.
No, exactly. So I'm going to turn something on really quick.
Sure.
So this is what we're talking about with ear fatigue.
Oh no.
No, I'm just trying something out.
Thought you were actually going to do it.
No, I'm going to.
Oh, I'm going to mute my headphones.
Come on, you want to hear it?
No. Oh,
Here,
yeah.
This is it. So, I mean, I can listen to, I mean, it's getting so bad with me. I can't even listen to anything that has white noise for like more than 30 seconds. I have to turn it off. It just bugs me that much now.
All right. I didn't know how long you were going to go for there.
Well, dude, that's about as long as I could take any box with static.
Right. And you know what's interesting is I think if there was more education or we took a step forward in learning how to visually see the results, you could take a box like that and almost, completely mute it audibly, but see it visually. And you could still, if you're trained and you know what to look for, you could see responses visually in the waveforms, and then you can go right there and listen to those sections. I'm not saying you don't want to, not include listening to your session audibly, but with a box like that, I would definitely be relying heavily on visual aids as well to find out where communication might be coming from. Because I know I can tell you with me and listening and doing this hours upon hours a day with musicians to voiceovers to research to high frequency research. I mean, ear fatigue is a major problem, and it contributes when you think about the ITC operator and psychoacoustics and how sound over time is perceived differently because our body can only take so much vibration and frequency. You really have to take those variables into consideration. And I think it is important to note the equipment you're using and how that impacts you and how you can tolerate that. And a lot of people will listen to ghost box sessions with a lot of white noise and they'll become distracted. Their mind will wander. The ghost box will be playing and they'll be thinking, oh, did I pay this credit card bill? Or I got to go pick up these groceries. Because I mean, literally it can actually alter what you're consciously thinking about. So you have to be very careful with the device you use. White noise, yes, is a proponent of ITC. Yes, it does help contribute to communication because it is random frequency. But at the same time, it has an impact on the human body and has an impact on what we perceive as a response compared to what actually may be being picked up by the equipment.
But you hit the nail on the head a bit with another topic though, too. I mean, not only with that same analogy, like when you're hearing white noise and you do get distracted, that's like investigating in the dark. It's the same exact thing,
right?
Because humans in general are they become more non-observant when it's dark,
right?
Because you can't see. It's affecting your your senses. So your visual senses are now hindered. So your mind starts wandering and you start losing focus on what you're actually there for. And that's why I said, if you're going to investigate in the dark, the best thing to do is have some red lights turned on, because that's what the military does. Like if you ever go aboard a ship and they go to general quarters, all lights go off and all red lights turn on, because the red light is still going to make you aware of your surroundings and observant. So it was funny because in one of my bags, I had nothing but these lamps that illuminated red. So when people say we're going lights out, I would start putting these things out and start turning them on, and people would get pissed.
Right.
And then after a while, they're like, wait a minute, this is a big difference. This is actually kind of cool. And so then people would like, or other people, there were other investigators that would walk into the room, and then they were like, dude, this like is kind of cool. You can actually still see, and all the lights are off, and you can see shadows. You can see, you're aware of your surroundings.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, this is what you do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
anyway.
And so that's just it. I think we come full circle with this conversation is why that's one of the many reasons why you're pushing forward with, again, I call it the cocktail of frequencies for right now. I don't know what you're going to label it or what you're going to call the experiment, but in that sense of where we're still employing white noise or frequencies from that, but we're employing a mixture or the right combination, right amplitude that will allow communication to come in and still provide a pleasurable listening experience, or as much as possible, to the ITC operator without having frequencies that literally take you out after a few minutes. Because yes, white noise contributes to the communication, but at the same time, if you can't, conduct your research for more than a few minutes, really, there's no progress that's going to be made in that point.
No, exactly. So
yes, Lisa says working smarter, not harder. Right.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I mean, it's you have to find what works, and and I think that a lot of people are coming across things that are making things easier. I wouldn't say easier, but I mean, I don't know. It's things that help with like we're talking about with ear fatigue, things like that. So and it's so funny because this whole thing's going full circle with white noise. Okay, there was the first SB7. The beta units had no white noise at all. They were quiet. And during the development, Chris Fleming said, wait a minute, these things are just like a quiet radio sweeping. To speak with spirits, they need to have white noise. We need to add white noise to these radios. So because Gary and Chris were working on, that was one of their projects, and Chris was the one that told them this is what you need to develop, and he was one of the beta testers on this project. And it's funny now how Gary is now trying to remove that white noise.
Right.
And coming up with a new device to,
right.
It's actually filtering out that white noise, but with adding a filter, what is that doing to the actual signal that's coming back in? What's happening?
It's reducing the amplitude of the frequencies that we want. We're
exactly
those, and I think they're parallel buffers. I could be wrong. I've heard rumors of the technology being used. I have no proof of this. Absolutely no proof. If it is a parallel buffer circuit, then yes, it's going to affect the resonant frequency. The frequencies coming in won't be perceived by the ITC operator as intended, and it could impact communication. I don't know to what extent, because I have no knowledge or blueprints or anything of what's being worked on with that. But yeah, it could definitely have an impact. Lisa, you mentioned, could what Rob is working on be customized for individual sensitivity tolerance? And yes,
it could. In a sense, it could.
And I guess it would depend. I mean, there is a possibility that depending on the equipment, Rob, or how you're producing this, frequencies that are outside of our audible hearing range could still be employed. Frequencies that you'll never hear may be part of that combination or that mixture. That there may be only one or two audible tones that are within our human hearing, but all the other tones are of a higher frequency or a lower frequency. And again, that depends on your headphones, your amplifier, your speakers, what the equipment you're using. Because again, once you get into esoteric frequencies, you're visually seeing them or feeling them. You're not hearing them as much. But at the same time, it probably could be custom tailored. It would take a tremendous amount of work. Not
only that, but then, like we've said, the best thing to do is record your session,
Right.
record your session. Because yes, like what Ben just said, the sweep rate also, the slower the sweep rate, the less the vibration. So that's going to also
Right.
play into that.
Right.
So I think if there's too much vibration coming through and you're sensitive to that, it might be too much.
Right. And again, that, like we talked, it depends, so much depends on the ITC operator. We're all different to begin with. Some people are colorblind, some people see colors differently and perceive colors differently. So then again, we're talking about how we're all perceiving this phenomena, and that which we still don't have a lot of understanding about. So without having a baseline like that to customize something, I mean, in theory it could be done, but I mean, the work it would take, it would take a lot of work, because there's so many frequencies we still don't know a lot about that are outside of our human hearing.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, like, when we slow down the sweep rate, and you've heard Josh and I talk about this before with some experiences that we've had using my boxes. We've slowed down the sweep rate to where we're picking up, almost every single radio station for a full half a
second,
second, maybe even a full second.
Yeah.
To where we are hearing radio, where we are hearing almost full sentences come through. But with that being done, we are also getting direct responses.
Right. Yeah. And that's also a product, though, of the design of the radio. I know a lot, again, speaks to the operator. Some people have abilities that are beyond other people who are using this equipment, but all things held constant, it also depends on the radio and how it's pulling in those frequencies and what is behind the scenes that's going on, that's supporting those frequencies in terms of timing, in terms of phase. There's just so many variables. It's hard to give a set example, but you did say it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, and phase has a lot to do with it too. There's so much that goes behind, and that's and when we put together when you put together basically a ghost box, or a boutique ghost box, you're hodgepodging a bunch of different parts together. After a while, you kind of come up with a combination that does work best, and you try to stay with that combination, even changing one component in that, whether it's a speaker, whether it's changing out to a different amplifier, that can make a difference between a night and day difference between one box and another box.
Absolutely. I mean, if you just look at the operational amplifiers in different ghost boxes, boutique ghost boxes, they'll have different harmonic distortion plus noise. There's so many different EIN, equivalent input noise. There's a lot of different products that go into the amp that actually will play a role in how the operator perceives the incoming frequencies. I still, Rob, there's a lot of people that use the SB7, and it's a great box. I'm not talking negatively about it, but there's people that can listen to that for 10 or 20 minutes. I mean, there are people that aren't as sensitive, and they pick up communication through that box. I mean, they just do. I've seen it happen, and I'm like, wow, I can't do that. But there are people that can do that. So a lot depends on the operator.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, I sent out one of my boxes that, had a particular sound to it. And that was the same box that everybody has had great success with. It got to one person and he was like, it just sounds really tinny. And I said, okay, you want something that sounds a little better? I could change out the speaker and make it sound a little less tinny and have more full range. So I did that. He got and I said, I'll do it. I'll do it this one time. Because I can't, I'm paying for the shipping back and forth. So I'll do it this one time. So he got the box and he was like, I want the old box back.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? And he's like, yes, it sounded tinny, but the responses I was getting that were coming through were just phenomenal.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is what you wanted. Yeah, it sounds amazing, but I'm not getting the same responses.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, sorry, but if you want, you can pay shipping both ways and I'll give you back your old radio. And he was kind of pissed. And I'm like, I told you,
Right.
this is a possibility. This is what might happen. It might sound better, but the responses might not be the same. And this is why I stuck with that combination, because I know what works and what doesn't.
Right.
And then he said, well, then why didn't you explain that to me? And I said, I told you that.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes you have to hear it or experience it firsthand to really understand that. But no, it's an excellent example. Illegally Blonde wants to know, are we both sound engineers? Yes. We both have different specialties, but yes, in short.
Actually, I mean, it's funny. I actually work with voice actors. That's one of my roles in my position that I do. I record, I produce, when you go into a store and you'll hear people talking about a sale, things like that, or commercials for radio, things like that. That's basically what I do. That's one of my roles.
But it does give you a chance. I mean, we're literally studying the human voice every single day. You're visually seeing the frequencies coming in. You're visually using the plugins. You're experimenting with everything. So it really complements your research perfectly. It really does.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny because one of the voice actors I work with, it's happening quite often now. I think because I'm just so used to hearing her and his voice, that they're a couple. So I was watching TV the other night and there was 2 commercials. I was like, oh my God, that's Camille.
Right. You can recognize. Yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of funny. So I had to talk to them today and I was like, oh, did she do this commercial? And they started laughing. Yeah, that's one of ours.
Right. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell.
Yeah. No, that's funny.
I'm surprised you even have time to listen to anything. I'm actually glad to hear that you're recreationally listening to anything, even a commercial. That's relieved. I'm relieved to hear that.
I mean, on my downtime, I do watch a lot of TV. So.
Oh, okay. Well, great. No, because I was afraid you weren't giving yourself enough relaxation time. I was getting concerned about you.
No, I hang out with my dogs and watch TV.
Because when I talk to you, you're working with these frequencies or building ghost boxes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna go insane soon. Like I'm concerned about you, man. I'm glad you're taking time off.
I know, but yeah, even when I'm not working, I'm working.
Right. Oh, of course, you're always brainstorming. Absolutely. Well, then that's good. I'm glad you could share your screen because there's things that are coming down the pike in the future shows that we're going to want to show them. Research visually, looking at frequency, and hopefully sharing what we've learned. Hopefully it'll be some benefit to our audience. I hope.
So real quick, here's a couple of new projects that I just finished up. So that mirror is
right.
That mirror is huge. It's
that is a big wow.
It's 14 by 12, 14 by 11 by 14.
Oh, that's a legal size pad. That's a legal pad mirror.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good size to hold. That's very good.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now, if you're not investigating though, you'll be using that with your ITC research.
No, this is going to be part of the Saturday show.
Right. Okay.
Working on some new stuff to do on the Saturday show, so it's going to be a lot of fun. You're
going live this Saturday, correct?
Yeah, Saturday I'll go live. Just last Saturday I took a day off.
Yeah, rightly so.
I needed some downtime. Needed a lot of rest. I was exhausted. It's just been crazy.
It was nice that you were able to relax comfortably at home with, the audience outside picketing your house and throwing Molotov cocktails on your property. Hey, you can get sleep during all that commotion. I mean, they weren't happy, but I'm glad you could relax.
No, exactly. So Ben wants to know if we can do a show on Saturday on sound waves. Yeah, we plan on doing that anyway. I want to kind of do a show, kind of do showing sound waves, and actually doing some what's it called? Using an audio spectral analyzer. So basically, it's going to show like a waterfall. Actually, Audacity doesn't. It does it the opposite. It does it horizontal, not vertical.
Yes, there's so many plugins for Audacity. I'm sure there might be one out there that we don't know of, that someone did at some university somewhere, buried somewhere. That
I mean, Audition.
Oh,
Not
Audition. Okay. So I'll say
no, Audition. Audition does it horizontally. But also during that show, I almost set up SDR.
Oh, right.
And SDR is a software design radio, or software defined radio. All these acronyms.
I get confused too.
Yeah, so basically, depending on the software you use, there's some software you can pick up. You can start off at from shortwave all the way to cellular communication.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Ben, there is so much to talk about. And I think, it's funny, Rob, I'll just bring this up and throw myself under the bus. I texted you today and I think I was at work and I was having a moment. I was like, I don't know, Wayne's coming on the show tonight, but I don't know what we're going to talk about. And you're like, what? There's always something to talk about. And you're so right. There is always something to talk about. I can't believe I said that. And I'll throw myself under the bus. But Ben, this topic, we could go on forever and ever and ever. I'm studying the pressure wave. We're probably going to have to group frequencies, Rob. I think we're going to have to group them because to study all of them at one time, it's a tremendous undertaking. But yes, we're definitely going to get into talking about that and at least how you can start to visually see it. And then we can get you started so you can go off on your own. It's fascinating. Once you start visually seeing the frequencies outside of the human hearing range, it will really pique your interest, wondering what's going on either down there, infrasound or ultrasonic sound.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we talked about SDR, but I wanted to show what SDR is and what it does. I wanted to give an example because talking about it and showing it is you're going to be mind blown. And you don't have to buy, like an expensive radio like the Grundig. I was going to pull one out, but
I'm not. It's a great radio. It's a great radio.
I mean, you can spend, $40 on an SDR and get every frequency that you want. There's people out there that I've known that have used an SDR as a ghost box. I think somebody wrote a program that was floating around for a little while, but I can't find it anymore.
Right.
Some people were doing that. Some people were writing IP radio scanning software to be used as a ghost box.
That's right. Echovox. There was a version of Echovox that scanned internet IP radio. That was I really enjoyed that. It was a really good program.
Yeah.
Lisa, Rob and I know Rob, I can't speak for your time because you're so busy, but yes, if you would like us to come on your show and help explain or at least give a basic foundation for what this is, I'm sure I could even do it from work at some point, maybe if it's like half hour, an hour. I can't speak for Rob's time, but yeah, I mean, we definitely love to explain this and at least get some information out there. With the SDR though, just as important as it is to have that piece of equipment to study and research all of these frequencies, you also need a way to interpret or analyze the research. Because again, a lot of the consumer equipment we have is within the human range of hearing, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So you may need, depending on what you're using or how you're doing it, an A to D converter that can actually help you visually see the frequencies above 20 kilohertz, because again, we can't hear those, so we have to see them and work with them visually.
I mean, I keep on saying Audacity. Audition is great for that because Audition, like I said, it has built in, so you don't have to look for different plugins. You can just throw on the sound analyzer portion of that software. It brings up a waterfall. Basically, it'll paint a picture of the frequencies, and then you'll see shadows. You'll see peaks and shadows. It'll be like in a magenta, purple, and yellow type of coloring. It's very hard to manipulate, but once you get the hang of it, and then you start highlighting certain areas, you'll start seeing audio in like the 3 to 5 hertz range, sometimes up to 8 hertz. And then it will actually allow you to hear those because it will make that conversion for you.
Right.
And amplify it to where it's audible. And when you find EVP in that range, it's like mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really impressive, especially there are some plugins, and you can research, there's an endless amount of plugins, but that will actually help detect audible frequencies that may be hiding in higher frequencies. That's where it really gets interesting is there's detection software that says, wait a minute, we think we've heard something in a vocal frequency, maybe 5 kilohertz, 8 kilohertz, that's packaged somewhere up very high, sitting at 96 kilohertz or somewhere even higher or somewhere lower. Now, a lot of the times the software is limited to helping you pitch that down or move it down an octave or move it up an octave to hear it audibly. But it's very interesting because we now have software computers that are capable enough to detect communication outside of frequencies that we can hear. So it makes you wonder, is there communication being packaged and stored at higher or lower frequencies that we're just now finding out about? Again, that's just a theory, but it becomes very interesting.
So just like with Lisa, what you just commented, this is exactly what we're talking about. Yes, you can pick up those frequencies like what dogs are hearing. Like let's say with my dogs barking at something that we don't hear, if I had it mic'd outside and had a recorder going, I'd be able to take the audio, throw it into Audition, and find those sounds like what my dogs are hearing down to that frequency, and then use the software to amplify it, and then I'll be able to play it back and say, oh, that's what they were hearing. Wow, that's a neighbor, down the street, or that was a car horn that was, so far away that we couldn't hear it. Or it could have been an animal or whatever.
Right. Excellent question. Yeah. And again, this is something, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus. There's always something to talk about. I can't believe I sent you that text, Rob, but I'm honest enough to audibly tell everyone in our audience, hey, I actually said that. I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight. So sorry about that.
There's every single, okay. So here's the thing, like every weekend I go into my show on Sunday with nothing to talk about. I'll start off the show talking about my day. I'll talk about, what might have happened during the week. I might just say, so how's everybody doing out there? And somebody throws in a comment into the chat. I will just start talking to that person. So, okay. So then we'll just start going from there. And then that's how the show just evolves for, that particular show for the night.
Yeah. I have a need to like prepare and plan, like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything prepared or planned. It's like, yeah, that's how a podcast works. Like you're actually good to go.
That's how, like Ben just said, we're not stagnant.
Exactly. But yeah, Ben, we're going to start really cracking into that heavy. And I think at some point we'll discuss what we know. And if we start to go too far or off the deep end, we'll reel it back, and we'll hopefully carry everyone like a classroom, Rob. I mean, essentially we'll just hopefully carry everyone with us, and we're not going to leave anyone behind. I mean, there's sometimes we might jump ahead and we'll have to, reel ourselves back in, because we can go on a tangent with some of this stuff, but definitely, Ben, we're going to get into a lot of that.
Really quick, Lisa. Yeah, if you have a haunted mirror or if you found anything like that, just let me know. I'd be interested. I mean, I do have a few things that, but anyway, I'll go. I don't want to go all into that, but um, no, it's just with getting back on the topic. Yeah, I mean, it's just not that we're stagnant. We're not like the paranormal, and it's being stagnant. We always have
Right.
something to talk about and something to try to help people out and try to forward the research
Right.
and not take a step backwards because they're following technology that's you know 20, 30 years old. um and it's sad because everything in the field is being regurgitated. Nothing has changed.
Right. Well, and I think I think that's the desire. There are a group of people or subsection that are going, wait a minute, there has to be more to this, or how does this equipment work? There's always that pertinent question that leads you down the road to, okay, it all comes down to studying frequency. I mean, essentially, again, there's a big missing piece of the puzzle of how this communication is happening. And we don't want to just say, well, it's just frequency. Let's just study frequency. But I think the more we know about our physics and our dimension and how that may be utilized in this communication, I think the closer we'll get. So.
And it's studying those frequencies. What frequencies are we getting those responses in? What frequencies, are is it? We know for a fact it's not in the 50 to 60 hertz range.
Right. I mean, any frequency can be utilized. I think there's been evidence that almost everything has been used, and spirit, if you will, for lack of better words, can use anything. But at the same time, I think a lot of our understanding of how the frequency works in our dimension and how it may work in theirs, essentially, will help us better understand what we need to do or what we need to tailor or custom make for this communication. We start narrowing things down, and it may be a very long process, but beginning the trial and error process of narrowing things down by expanding our knowledge of frequency and leaving the human hearing range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. And again, many people are doing this. This isn't something new. I want to be very clear. We're not doing anything new here. There have been people and scientists and physicists that have been studying this for decades. But the pursuit of this needs to continue, and more people need to get on board. And hopefully more people will get on board.
But see, the whole thing too is, technology has changed over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
RF frequency has been played huge parts in our lives now, to where I remember before Wi-Fi, when Wi-Fi technology was still new, and what that started to do in the field with a lot of equipment that people do use. There was a lot of interfering happening that people weren't really understanding. Because at that period of time, God, 12 years ago, maybe, I had to start learning RF interference. But once I started learning it, I was like, holy crap. This just is like a total mind. I mean, we just opened up a whole can of worms.
Right.
Now I'm starting to understand what is setting off, paranormal equipment, equipment that people are using in the field. Oh my God. Now I know what was, making this device go off. Then I started going back to certain locations in this particular spot, in these particular areas, and taking different types of equipment in there. And it was just like total spikes on RF spikes just happening. And I was like, oh my God, this just like totally debunked everything that happened here, that happened on this night.
Right.
So I was like, hey, come check this out. Watch this. And I said, I'm going to walk in here. This K2 is going to hit as soon as I walk to that point right there. I would walk over there with the K2, boom, it would just start hitting. You would walk back, it would flick on just a little bit, but then I was like, watch, now I'm going to make it spike. I would walk over to this one spot and it would hit red. And then I'll be like, see, okay, now I'm going to go over to this spot. And the same thing's going to happen. I would take an EMF detector, a millimeter, walk over, watch. I'm going to make this thing hit, 8 milligauss, and boom, it starts hitting right at 8. Watch, I'm going to make it go to 12 right here. Boom, it hits at 12. And then I said, okay, you want to know what's setting this off? And then I would show them a frequency counter. And I was like, right over here. And then I would get out my cell phone and say, okay, check this out. See, there's a radio tower right here.
Yeah.
This is what's hitting. And then I would show how the radio tower, you would look at the antenna on the way that they were positioned, the cell towers, because they were positioned as repeaters. I'm like, it's sending a signal across and hitting this repeater. So it was just, so all of that knowledge that I started picking up now started helping me out in the paranormal field.
Right.
And that's when I started saying, you know what? A lot of these devices that people are carrying around are freaking useless because of X, Y, and Z.
Right. No, and that's a good point. And I think the more we study the equipment, like Ben is saying, and the more we understand frequency, we can also not only understand how this communication may be created or may be used in the sense to help conduct this research, but also understanding and debunking false positives or anomalies that we don't understand that really are just products of our environment or products of things that we can research or know without having to guess or speculate or just draw a conclusion that something is paranormal. And that comes full circle to what we talked about with Wayne this evening. Not everything is paranormal, and understanding more about our environment and understanding science. I mean, we all took that high school science class in our classes. Oh, I'll never need this. I'll never need this math. I'll never need this science. Well, guess what? We do. You do need this. And it does play a huge factor in ITC research, and especially as an ITC operator.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, we can go on with this forever. See, Josh, there's always something to talk about.
I know. I can't believe I said that. I needed to admit it, but I'm really disappointed I said that, especially in my field and what I do. I'm very disappointed in myself.
No, especially, with me, I'll just start rambling about crap, about useless crap.
Well, you can pick. I just gave you free ammunition. You can pick on me about that in future shows. Like, oh, Josh, we have nothing to talk about. Really? So you figured this whole thing out? No, I guess I haven't. My bad.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in. We got to run. I didn't realize it's this late. We're just having fun.
Yeah, this was what happens on the Wednesday show.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to get worse, get on the Saturday night show. I might keep you up till 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, have a good night and have a good week, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone.